It's the things that I was talking about day in and day out with my patients that I just thought, gosh, there just needs to be a resource where it's all here. It's an East meets West guide where it has, all the science plus, plus all the other stuff. And I felt like there was nothing that really that encapsulated everything.
Hello, my dear soul sister, soul brother. It's Julie Reisler. I am the host of the You-est You Podcast, and I am so happy to be here with you. Before we get into this conversation with our guest today, Dr. Erika Siegel, I just want to share a little bit more about her, but I want to say that this conversation really is for you if you are really struggling with how to put yourself first on the map, how to care for yourself, to do self-care, whatever that means to you, in a way that's going to honor what is true for you, to honor your intuition, to honor what your body actually needs. We talk a lot about how not to override ourselves, how not to just push through. I think one of the things that I know I've struggled with, and many I know you have written in about, is that over striving, pushing aspect of our culture, that very young, masculine, always take action without the rest and the other aspects that we need to kind of balance. And so today's conversation, we got a lot into how to care for yourself. We talked about some really good nutrition information, but also how to care for your body, your mind, and how to look at yourself in a new way that's, I think, going to help you in tuning into your higher self, into your wisdom, your gifts, your strengths, to your You-est You. So I'm really, really excited to be here with you today. And I want to share with you, Dr. Erika Siegel is a naturopathic physician, an acupuncturist, educator, and she's a mom. By nature, she is a juggler of life's abundance. She's been practicing functional integrative medicine for nearly 21 years, and she offers whole-bodied healthcare and inspiration to thrive. Dr. Siegel continuously expands her knowledge of therapies from around the globe to support others in maintaining the balance of mind, body, and spirit. Now, we're going to talk about her recently published 2-volume book set, The Nourish Me Kitchen. It is unbelievable. I'm just showing it if you're watching this episode, and it combines a first of its kind functional medicine reference book along with a stunning wholesome foods cookbook. So powerful. I got to tell you, anything and everything you want to know about the property of cashews, or if you have lower back pain or a migraine, like what to do. She goes into very incredible detail. And then the cookbook is just gorgeous and has so many awesome recipes that are really nourishing and healthy. So we will have all of the information on those books and the 10% discount for you. And I just invite you to sit back, listen with an open heart. And I hope that this conversation inspires you to truly honor yourself, to really take that time. You are worthy. You are deserving of self-care, of self-love, of putting yourself first on the list, that to-be list as much as that to-do list. So without further ado, welcome to this episode with Dr. Erika Siegel. Welcome, welcome to the You-est You Podcast, my dear soul friend. I am so excited for you to be here today, and we're going to just get right into it. I am here with actually a very old dear friend, Dr. Erika Siegel, who is an amazing, amazing naturopath. She's got so much wisdom up her sleeve, and she is the author of this most incredible, if you're watching on YouTube, you'll see the Nourish Me Kitchen book set. I'll be showing this throughout. This is the holder. They're 2 huge volumes. We're going to talk all about it. And just an incredible woman with so many talents and so much love around really helping us to heal and to find that inner resolve, strength inside, and to be nourished from the inside out. Erika, I am so excited for you to be here. Thank you, thank you, thank you for coming today.
Thank you, Julie. It's really such a pleasure to be here.
So I would love for those who don't know you or your background. I mean, I had the pleasure years and years ago of, I think we met in our early 20s, and I remember your
Hmm.
interest in this work then. For
Hmm.
those that don't know your story or how you got into this work, can you share a little bit like what made you say, I want to go to school for 6, 7 years and then focus on naturopath medicine and all of these different areas that I know are so important to you around healing and nourishment. How did you get into it?
Yeah, I'd be happy to share that story. It's always fun to reflect on all the life moments that led you to where you are now. And I really had an interest in health and healing and good living, I would say pretty young, because my mom was oriented that way, mostly because my dad had a big heart attack when he was 50 and he survived it, and then our life started to orient around keeping him well. So at an early age, I was learning about, drinking lots of water and moving your body. Of course, it was in the 80s during the fat free craze, so that was sort of some misdirected information. And then I just took to the sciences and was on a fairly conventional road to in medicine because I didn't know otherwise. I grew up on the East Coast and went to college in New Orleans. So I didn't really know that there were alternatives. That integrative medicine wasn't really on the map yet in the mid 90s, or at least on my map. And then I just started learning about how I approach healing and the body, and conventional medicine really didn't fit. I didn't fit with it. And I learned about naturopathic medicine being a holistic form of functional medicine that understands the body from a Western perspective, but then has this different paradigm of how we're going to treat. And I took a leap, and really a leap of faith, and went to a naturopathic medical school, and then tagged on a Chinese medicine master's on top of it because I just, love learning, wanted to keep going, expanding, learning about therapies from around the world. And I'm still learning. I'm still always putting pieces together to understand, what can we do to ease suffering? How can we motivate people to take good care of themselves? And I'm 21 years into practice now, and um, I have a lot of experience, but also just still a lot of curiosity about how to do this in the most graceful, effective manner, and without dogma, without saying, "Oh, I don't do this or I only do that." As far as I'm concerned, it's all on the table if it works for someone and if it resonates with them in that moment. And it's just an ever-going path, really.
Mm. I love what you said about finding that graceful kind of that way of healing and taking care of ourselves from that graceful
Yeah.
place of not getting into dogma. And I think honestly can get
Yeah.
very confusing
Hmm.
out there.
Yes.
We're going to get all into, I mean, these books that I know took you almost 20 years to write are just stunning. They're just incredible.
Right.
I was looking
Thank you.
through them and like, wow. I mean, just so much educational information, well-being information, how to feed yourself, mind, body, spirit, all of it. It can get confusing. And I think maybe a place to
Yeah.
start, there's a lot of conflicting information about health, even the word health, right? Like even if we zone
Hmm.
into, nourishment, right? I know there's a lot in here
Yeah.
around the way we nourish our bodies. We'll start with maybe food as
Right.
one of the pillars. How do we sift through all of the different ideas and, quote unquote studies and experts, and how do
Hmm.
we find what is going to be best for our own unique bodies? Like, where do we start? How do we do that? What have you found in your
Yeah.
experience?
Yeah, I love this question. I think it's really important to consider our unique bodies in this particular moment of time. We have really given away a lot of our agency and understanding of ourselves, given it away to our doctors, given it away to the most recent fad or study or what a friend is doing, and say, oh, I used to eat this, I liked it, but I read that I shouldn't do it. Well, maybe that food was okay for you if it felt good in your body. So where I would say to start, very basically, when we're considering our food choices, I like to think about, am I eating a food that my grandparent would recognize as a food? So that means a food in its whole form. It doesn't mean you can't chop it and cut it up or throw it in a blender or in a soup. It means, does it look like where it came from? Or does it look like it's been pulverized, pressed, expressed, extracted, and manipulated in some way that it really looks nothing like the original food? When we start messing with and manipulating our food, it becomes really hard for our body to metabolize. It really doesn't know what to do with it. So, butter is a good example. Butter is made from cow milk. Pretty simple food. You get a good source of it. It might do just great in your body. But you have a butter substitute that's supposed to taste like butter and look like butter and spread like butter and smell like it. And it's got 12 ingredients in it, and it's marketed as a health food. Now, I would say your grandparent wouldn't recognize that food and those ingredients because it really does not resemble the original food that we're trying to have that experience with. And our body knows. Our body knows how to metabolize butter unless we um, don't do dairy well, or if we're choosing to avoid it because we're vegan and we have a philosophical relationship with that. But our body knows how to manage butter. It does not really do as well with this fake butter substitute with all of those ingredients, most of which are seed oils and omega-6 oils that are not so great for us. And I think you can kind of go down the line when you're thinking about that. If you're thinking about a morning cereal, you're going to be much better off with oats than this oat brand whole grain cereal that, again, has 12 ingredients, has been quite processed, and the body doesn't quite know what to do with it. So I would say that's the first thing I think about is simplify, simplify, simplify. It does not need to be very complicated. Dinner can be some quinoa, a half of an avocado, a piece of fish or a protein of choice, tofu, beans, whatever you like, lemon, and your favorite spices. We don't need to rack the books to find something that our body agrees with. If that doesn't feel quite right, then you try something else. And recognizing that the diet that works for you might not work for your neighbor. They may be doing keto or paleo or carnivore or vegan, you name it. It might not have the right ratio for you, and it might not be right for you right now if you're in a particularly, you know, if your body is going through something, if you're healing, if you're in a state of grief, if you're pregnant or nursing. And so really asking, what does my body want right now? I know in a state of when you have high emotions, let's say grief or stress, your body does not have a lot of energy for digestion. It probably wants soothing, comforting foods. So soups and stews, maybe, like a khichdi, which is mung beans and rice, things that are just easy. If you're on yoga retreat in Costa Rica and you want to lighten it up a little bit, sure, maybe you'll do great with raw food there, but maybe not in the middle of winter in Maryland. So, like, recognizing where you are, how you feel, and what your intuition is telling you about your diet, it takes you pretty far. If you ask yourself, is this food friend or foe? Does it feel good? When I think about ingesting it, and again, would my grandparent recognize it as is it food?
Okay, this is so helpful. I love this. I've not heard it said this way. I think that is brilliant. And for all of us, like it just right away, you're like, would my grandparent recognize this is a sweet potato? Would my grandparent, one of my areas that I'm like, yeah, sometimes I use collagen, right? I don't know. That might be an iffy one, right?
Hmm.
But like quinoa, sweet potato, basic thing, like whole foods, as you said, that's a
Right.
given. It's
Yeah.
a great litmus test. Would this food be recognized by my grandparent? And you started to get into, and I think this is really, really interesting. This is an area I would love to go deeper with you, is really tuning into your inner knowing, your inner guidance, your
Hmm.
intuition. So tuning in,
Yeah.
how do I feel? What emotion, what mood, what stage, what season am I in? Literally, figuratively, am I going
Hmm.
through grief?
Hmm.
Is it winter? Is it what's in season? And then what feels good to me? And
Hmm.
asking yourself, is this friend or is this a foe? I love that. I love the territory we're going
Yeah.
into, because so much of what we talk about here is really how to tap into your higher guidance. Being your You is about
Hmm.
connecting to your higher guidance, your intuition, your soul. And food is pretty, it's, I would put it the base. I think the Maslow's hierarchy of needs in terms of self-actualization, like we start with food is foundational. So
Mm-hmm.
this is
Mm-hmm.
really helpful. I am going to ask because it came up when I was thinking about it. And for those that are like, yeah, what about those powders and those things? Curious if you have thoughts about it, not to get too in the weeds of what to eat, not to eat, but things that are now coming on the market, like we have, mushroom cocoa blends or collagen powder or different kinds of protein powders made out of pea protein or things like that. Those items that might be in a bag, in a box that's may have 4 or 5 ingredients, but wouldn't have been recognized by your grandparents. I love how I'm like, let's find the ones that maybe are okay. Of course, I use some of these, so I'm like, I gotta know.
Yeah.
But what do you like? What are your thoughts? And maybe there's a spectrum here. Curious.
Yeah, I really like this question because it speaks to the nuance too of nutrition. Right now our soil is in a pretty sad state and it's depleted of many of our nutrients. And so while I should have put a little asterisk there about eating whole foods because the food that's available to us, it may not be as nutrient dense as it was. And supplementing that can be a really intelligent thing to do. Supplementing our diet if we maybe aren't getting enough protein sources, or if we want to add more superfoods into our diet. I mean, we have all this neat science that shows us, oh, acai is rich in antioxidants, and all these mushrooms help to modulate the immune system and balance us out and fight cancer. So, can we use that intelligence in a reasonable way? And I think the answer is yes. And it's going to come down to the source of that ingredient and how it's being produced and what it's being mixed with. So I like a lot of these companies that are mixing mushrooms with their coffee, or chocolate with their coffee, or superfoods in with their protein. There's some great companies out there. I'm a really strict label reader. So I'm gonna, look through that label. For me, I want it to be organic. If it's coffee, I want it to be fair trade and mold free. If it's any superfood, fruit and veggie, I want to make sure that it's at the top of the list and that there isn't a filler at the top of the list. So if you're looking at a superfood powder and it's made, top of the list is flax and apple pectin and fibers, it's like, well, great, you basically are buying dehydrated fiber and it's being called a superfood. So, really being pretty strict with your label reading, that will help you determine what are the better products. I think collagen is one that has shown there's some nice research to show how it supports our connective tissue growth and health, the integrity of our ligaments, the integrity of the skin. But it's not necessarily, you don't necessarily take in collagen and then make more collagen. I do find it to be a good protein source, but I think taking the raw ingredients that build collagen are going to, serve you better in that regard. I actually have a chapter in my book called Building Strong Collagen, and it talks all about how to build collagen. And so, from bone broth to eating papayas, there's many food sources in there, from animal products to non-animal products, but giving your body the substrate so it can build collagen. But I don't have a problem with adding collagen to your coffee, adding the those mushroom super powders. A lot of them are great, and I just like to be really strict about what's inside.
I love what you're saying here, because really it's on each of us. And this is partially why, I have so many things to talk to you about and ask you, but I try to bring in the best experts of health and well-being and minding our
Hmm.
mind and spirit and body, because there's a lot out there. You've got to really read. You got to read the
Hmm.
ingredients. Where is
Yes.
it sourced? What's in there? How many ingredients? What are the first three?
Yeah.
It's so funny. I'm going to just show, like, you guys look at this if you're, again, watching on YouTube. This is volume one. This is volume one, Essential Health Wisdom. Okay, that's volume one, which is just unbelievable. I'm going to show volume two and I'll share. Here's volume
Yeah.
two.
So volume one's an encyclopedia of how to take good care of yourself.
Like legit an encyclopedia and then
Yeah.
some. And
Yeah.
it's funny,
And why don't you choose a
I did
cookbook?
the papaya thing this morning. I was like, I'm going to bring in papaya, and
Oh,
I sometimes blend the
oh,
seeds.
great.
So
Nice.
so fun. I love what you said, though. We want to look at where it's sourced, and we want to just be
Hmm.
mindful. What because the soil is so depleted, sometimes we do need to find foods and things from other supplements and other avenues. I would
Hmm.
love I'm really curious about getting more into the world of. I know we'd mentioned you and I earlier about taking care of yourself from that holistic lens and then really connecting to your own inner wisdom and intuition. Before we do
Hmm.
that, can we talk about some of, well, let's start with the pillars of health. When you talk about health, because health, there's a integrative aspect to it, of course.
Hmm.
Let's go through the pillars of health, and then I do want to come back
Yeah.
to intuition.
Great. I love talking about the pillars of health because it's sort of a simplified way of evaluating how we're doing and seeing if we're hitting the marks. And it takes a lot of the mystery out of taking good care of ourselves. Like, oh, actually, sleep, hydration, movement. So I'll go through them. And then I have a little acronym to help you remember the most important ones and use it as an opportunity to do that self check in. How am I doing? And it does take that regular check-in to see that we're giving all the pillars, equal attention. So the first one is the nourish, which is going to include everything that we take in, right? So we have our food, we have our hydration, we have things that might be depleting our hydration. So if we're sweating or drinking caffeine, like to, correct for those things. And I would say part of the nourish picture or our consumption picture is what are we exposed to? What are we listening to? What's the news? Is the TV just on all day, just yammering at us? Like, because we're consuming that too. We need to digest all of it and, just being extremely careful about and particular about what you consume, what you bring in, um, you know, relationships, all of that. The next part is around movement. Movement is our birthright. It is really necessary for health to maintain our circulation, to maintain good, healthy body mass, to maintain our lymphatic flow, and to really earn our sleep. If we're sedentary all day, we don't sleep as well. All of the cycles get really thrown off. We're not producing hormones as effectively. We're not repairing as effectively. So, movement, and that isn't just exercise, but it's a walk, it's moving through range of motion. I like to say our bodies were designed to be dancers, not stationary bike riders. So, sure, we're designed to be both, but we really want to move in the full expression of our ability. So, a joint wants to do circles and undulations and move all about. It doesn't just want to do linear patterns. And so, maybe part of a 5-minute morning practice is to like shake and wiggle and make circles and move the joint in every which way. Of course, part of the movement, especially as we get older, is trying to maintain our muscle mass. It's just a road of degradation. Really, our muscles are going to shrink and shrink and shrink. This is sad, but starting in our 30s, it is on the way down. And especially for perimenopause and menopause, muscles are your insurance policy to managing those hormones and managing those next stages without being frail, without being injured. So I think if you're going to spend time at a gym, go to the weight floor over the elliptical or the treadmill. You're going to win every time using those weights. And of course, yes, walk regularly. But I think that weight training is an overlooked, really important pillar of our health. Then, of course, we have the opposite of movement, which is rest. We have to recover. We have to sleep. Rest can be a 5-minute little brain break. It doesn't need to be called meditation, but if however you need to frame that to give your body a chance to just have the opposite, the yin to the yang. And then, of course, sleep is our more intentional rest time and having good sleep hygiene so you can maximize the repair and all the regeneration and there's really a lot of production that happens during sleep too. So I'll pause there to see if there's anywhere that you want to comment, and then I'll go on with the rest of the pillars.
Yeah, I think for a such a hyper achieving, over ambitious culture, and I know many of our beautiful listeners are, want to make a difference in the world, want to
Hmm.
uplift consciousness and really live in your purpose and be our best selves. And I think
Yeah.
just when you were speaking, I'm like, ooh, rest, that kind of just had a little lit up, little hit for me. And I think that might be
Uh-huh.
something,
Right.
and I love that you said a 5 minute, like a little break. You don't have to call it meditation. So something about
Hmm.
sleep
Right.
and rest. I think there can be confusion. There's so many different tracking devices, and you know, we have tracking devices, and then we have a culture where it's very easy to be on your phone and to have, alarms and social media, whatever's going on 24/7. So how to really prioritize rest, how important it is. I think it's helpful to hear from you from that integrative perspective.
Hmm.
Um, I know it's made a huge difference in my life, but would love to hear like what's happening
Hmm.
on a physiological level, and then how does that affect hormones? Because I think for those of us in that perimenopause to menopause area, that also can be affected as well, getting enough rest and sleep. So I'll let you take it and just go wherever you want with it.
Okay. Okay, well, I think that that's worth exploring a bit more. Like what's happening physiologically when you rest? And rest could be 5 minutes, really, 5 minutes where you sit and you just look outside. I'm not saying sit and scroll. Okay. And you look outside and you breathe, and maybe you observe a flower, or you take a little walk, or you close your eyes. And what's happening physiologically? Well, first, the nervous system is going from the sympathetic state, the fight or flight, run from a tiger, must produce all the time, which is going to, be mostly brain activity and firing up the muscles to run. When you switch from sympathetic to parasympathetic, you actually change where your blood is circulating to and where the energy in your body is going. And it is called the rest and digest stage or phase. And when you are in the parasympathetic, your body starts to stimulate the vagus nerve, slow the breathing down, and get to its cue of digestion and healing. And we really, really need to have a fair balance of the two throughout the day. We tend to be in an oversympathetic environment, especially if you live in the United States, the go, go, go. Um, and we don't have enough time where our body gets to say, "Oh, wait, I'm just gonna calm down for a minute. I'm gonna reduce my production of cortisol, which is gonna wreak havoc in our body, and allow our adrenal glands to sort of reset and get a little quiet and not have to work so hard all the time." So there's a lot of physiology happening behind that 5 minute rest. You are going away from the stress response to a rest response. Another thing is that your brain is so active all day, and when you rest, the glial cells of the brain start to clean up the junk. Um, we're producing so much all the time, so much energy production, and there's actually waste products associated with that. So if you are studying, or working, and you just feel a little brain foggy, well, you actually need a brain break. The fogginess of your brain is because you've accumulated now too much of the junk, and the mitochondria are getting tired. You can't produce the ATP. And that little break, it could be a 20-minute meditation, it could be a 30-minute nap that will actually reset the brain. So choosing rest over maybe caffeine and a cookie, because that's what your body really wants, is not to be amped up and ignoring those signals, but to actually heed the signal, close your eyes, check out for a bit, and let your body recalibrate. So that's what's happening. That's some inspiration to prioritize it.
I am so glad we're talking about this. And I love, love, love what you said. This is really important. This
Hmm.
distinction, this 5 minute brain break, that
Yeah.
that is not scrolling. That is
Yeah.
seriously, because, and I'm going to call myself out for a minute.
Yeah. Me too.
I actually recently, I have had different tracking systems. I got the Aura Ring. I love it. It's one of the
Yeah.
best tools I've used. And the reason is I started to notice it shows your stress throughout the day. My sleep has been
Hmm.
great, but through the day I saw I didn't know I was stressed. Like, I love what I do. I'm writing the show notes.
Uh-huh.
Talking to clients, I'm writing emails, and lo and behold,
Yep.
I must be getting into a hyper focus, some sort of state. And I saw,
Yes.
oh my gosh, I am more stressed. It's at the high stress place. And, I
Mm-hmm.
you taking the 5 minutes and just,
Mm.
okay, I'm going to take 5 minutes and see what messages I have.
Right.
That did not work and has not worked. And so
Right.
I know I'm not the only one. I know whatever I'm sharing, like,
Yeah.
please, if you're
Yeah.
listening,
We're all nodding. We're all nodding with you.
yeah, soul friend, you're like, so it just went off in my mind, like, this has got to be, and this could be, like you said, and I'm a big fan of, I love daydreaming. So it could be
Oh yeah.
sitting, just looking out the window. It could be getting your crayons or your markers and just doodling. It
Mm-hmm.
could be sitting still and breathing. I think this is really important because
Yeah.
we're talking about micro moments of rest,
Yes. Micro breaks.
micro breaks.
Mm-hmm.
I,
Mm-hmm.
I need to put myself on the list for that. I definitely
Uh-huh.
shoot. I don't scroll social media, but I'll look and see. Oh, what text did I get? I need to respond. That's
Mm-hmm.
creating
Yeah.
just
That's not that's not relaxing.
no, not a break. So anyhow, it's been neat to
Yeah.
chart it, and I think so many of us we have to, and this comes back to we get to be empowered, and so I love you and the work you're doing. You're beautiful, beautiful. These the book set is just, I mean, they're really incredible, and there's so much in here. But what we're talking about, these are practical tools. Even
Yeah.
that if you can have more than 5 minutes, like you said, it could be a nap. It could be, a meditation.
Mm-hmm.
It could be maybe listening to something. I love music,
Yeah.
high frequency tones like solfeggio. It could be anything like that.
Yes. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels so good and important. And to know what your tools are, to know what works for you, and to be honest about it. Sometimes have to just leave my phone in another place because I will, I will tell myself I'm not going to use my phone, but then something will come to mind. Oh, I must do it right now. I will bypass my own goal all the time because this thing is so important,
So I
I
actually think
think.
yeah, this to me really comes under the umbrella of, that term self-care, right? We talk about self-care,
Yeah.
and it's like there's so much under that. Yet I have to say
Yes.
this prioritizing rest in a hyper productive world. I know for me,
Yeah.
and I know from hearing comments from many of you, beautiful listeners out there, like I know this can be, you have to train yourself. Like you said, put your phone
Hmm.
down. So I think if we can move into this this larger topic of self-care and really getting, I've said this many times, I know, imagining you agree, not only is self-care not selfish, it's probably one of the most
Hmm.
important things that we can do. Let's get into self-care and how do we start to build that kind of self-loving, caring actions for ourselves. How do we bridge our inner wisdom, intuition, so that we're not bypassing, right? We're not just going to
Yeah.
the ingrained pattern of I've got to check this, I have to do this. How do we start to shift and trust our intuition more and build more of this holistic self-care?
Hmm. Yeah, I love thinking about this topic because self-care means something different for everyone. And it's sort of like the nutrition piece, like finding what your own relationship with self-care is, and then granting yourself that time to do it and prioritizing that time. Self-care can look different day to day. I mean, self-care can be going to the gym, or it could be going to the gym and instead deciding to stay in the car and taking a nap, which I've done. It's having integrity with yourself in any given moment, asking, what is it that I want right now? Do I want to go out and take that walk and listen to that, Julie's new podcast? Because that's self-care. Or do I want to take a nap? Or do I want to clean the kitchen because I will feel so good when that kitchen is clean? So, I think of self care as sort of an energy match. Like, where is my energy right now and what matches it in this moment? And when I match it, then it doesn't matter if I'm doing a task that might seem not very fun to someone else. It could be doing the dishes, it could be charting, or it could be exercising, or it could be taking a hot bath. But if it matches the energy I have in that moment, then it just you puts you in a flow state where you feel like you're caring for yourself. It does not need to go on someone else's list of self-care. I mean, a lot of people get joy out of cleaning their house. They feel satisfied. They feel like it's meditative. Great. If that's self care for you, wonderful. If you absolutely never want to do that, then maybe you can, give that task to someone else, or put it on the list of, it would be great if we could have some help around the house by hiring a local teenager or a house cleaner, someone to help support you so you can use your energy in the ways that it matches most efficiently and effectively. So, you know, I think that we kind of can think of like, oh, this is supposed to be good for me, so I'm going to put it on my self-care list. But if it doesn't resonate with you, then it's not right for you. I've let go of trying to force myself to do things that someone else likes and someone else values. I'm trying to really become discerning about, what do I like? What do I value? I could have thought all day long, I'm so excited to go to dance tonight. That is like my gift on a Wednesday night, is I'm going to go dance. It's my ultimate self-care. And then I might get to that moment and think, you know what? I think I'm going to enjoy the bath more. And I didn't let myself down. In fact, what I did is I really honored where I am. And so that's part of the weaving of your intuition and your guidance into caring for yourself, is you keep checking in. And what I like to do is I like to think about, okay, my next step. I'm going to picture myself doing this thing. I'm going to picture myself on a walk, or doing the laundry, or in a bath. Which one does my body say yes to? Usually you'll find one. You just keep going down the list and your body will say, yes, I actually would like to do that. Thank you. And if you can't find, if every single one of them is a no, then it's not time to decide. Maybe it's time for a nap. Maybe it's time just to sit for 5 minutes and rest, because you're looking for that energy match. And I just, when I started to reorient that way, instead of doing the list and doing the thing at the time, and I started to reorient to, okay, the list is here, and I'm just going to weave in when I feel like I can and want to. Wow, my life really felt like it opened up into a flow state that I didn't know was possible for me.
Hmm. If I may add for a minute, it's so beautiful what
Yeah,
you're saying, because I know your background also with Chinese medicine. It really reminds me, I think our culture is so focused on the yang, that
right.
masculine doing the list of
Yeah,
to do, versus that yin of allowing and flowing and being. I call it like
yeah,
the to be list. And what I'm hearing you say,
yeah,
yeah, like Dr. Erika, as you're talking, I'm like, oh my goodness, little lights went off. And
hmm,
I think the gap is for us to start pausing. We got to be silent, quiet. You got to ask yourself. You said we've got to tune in. We've got to ask and find out how would it feel to take a bath versus dance versus go on a walk, maybe versus lying down doing nothing,
yeah,
and feel into it.
hmm,
And build that rapport with yourself. So really build that relationship of
yeah,
tuning in and trusting, and
hmm,
honoring. The thing you said that I was like, oh, that's mastery level, is you went to let's say you get to the gym and you take a nap in the car, or you love dancing and you're like, I really
yeah,
want to take a bath. That decision, not like shitting on yourself, not feeling like
right.
I should. And then we get into judgment, comparison. And I'm going to tell you, that is where I've blown a fuse in the past, and adrenals in my
For
body.
sure.
So that's, to me, listening and being okay with it. It feels like you're pulling in the yin. I'm curious if you have thoughts on that. I think that's really like next level for many of us, myself included.
Yeah, I mean, I like, what you're saying about the shoulding on yourself, because we can think of that as failure, right? I drove all the way to the gym and I slept in the car. I failed. No, you did not fail. You got yourself to the gym, which is what was your goal, and then you tuned in and said, "I am too freaking tired to struggle right now." You won because you listened, and then your body just trusts you, and you trust your body. You have this new relationship where you know that you can ask, "What do I need right now?" And not from a place of what's on the list, but what would really feel good. Now, of course, there's moments to push through resistance, right? Like you might start a workout a little sluggish, give it 5 minutes and then reassess. You might actually find that there's energy there for you. So I'm not really saying like always take the plan B, but recognize what is that voice that's coming up. Is it a knee jerk resistance, or is it like a true, I need something else right now. You need to listen to me. And I think it's fun to have girlfriends that you brag to when do something like that. Like, I just slept in my car for 30 minutes, instead of going in the gym, and then they like send you a little high five back because it's funny, right? Like life is funny. Like we should be patting ourselves on the back and laughing at the ways that we do things that are, weren't on the list and are unpredictable. And we're still going to shit on ourselves. We're going to. It's going to happen. And that's okay. You can just recognize like, oh, tomorrow's a new day. I will hopefully get to that list. I will maybe do that thing. And if I don't, then like I did my best. You know, that's what I like to say. I say to myself a lot. I say to my husband when, you know, if he maybe isn't thrilled about the state of something else, say, you know what? I did my best. I did my best. And when you just recognize that, it's like, oh, well, okay. Like, yeah, what can you say? Did your best. Yeah.
You used the word before, which I love. You used the word integrity. I think that's a great, very powerful word to have with ourselves to build that. And
Mm-hmm.
building that integrity means building that trust. And use that
Yeah.
word as well. And I think that that's an area I just know as a female, I can't speak for all the females, but I think for many of us,
Yeah.
that's something to cultivate. It took me years
Mm-hmm.
to build that trust and that integrity. And it doesn't mean it's perfect. But
Mm-hmm.
that's where we can start to trust, I'm really sensing and feeling that rest, that taking a nap, that taking a bath is the ultimate loving thing to do. I think we're really talking about how do I love
Right.
myself at the deepest
Yes.
level? How do we
Yeah.
do that?
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious, not to get all like serious on you. However,
Mm-hmm.
just from my own experience with symptoms and when things show up like, illnesses or conditions, my
Mm-hmm.
sense has been that when I haven't listened to my body, that's when we start to get symptoms and things generate because there's a deep, there's an aspect to our body that is energy is communicating with us. So I'm curious with intuition, with self-care, what you see. I know you've been doing this for many, many, many years. Do you see that connection sometimes with a condition or an illness or something that's showing up in the physical aspect of the body that can be traced back to, oh, I didn't listen, I didn't rest. Not to shame ourselves, but to just be curious
Right.
and look and see.
Yeah, I mean, I find that people override their needs and their symptoms a lot. And there's a lot of tools to do that. We have caffeine, we have sugar, we have all the distractions. We can kind of endlessly distract ourselves to something else to not feel the like unease, the dis-ease, the unrest, the heart palpitations. Whether we put it to the side because we don't feel like we have the time, we don't know what we would do about it. Maybe it makes us feel scared because we know that it's telling us we need to quit our job or get out of this relationship or do the thing, and it feels like too much work. So we just kind of like hush. Yeah, imbalance is going to come. That's how it goes. You keep pushing through something that where your body is giving you whispers, it's going to start yelling eventually. And what I like to say to people is, don't make your body yell at you. Like, listen to the whispers. If you're getting headaches, okay, then let's figure out why you're getting headaches. If you are in pain, let's figure out why you're in pain. Let's ask why. And it really saddens me to see how in the allopathic model we have given our power away to our doctors. I'm going to go to my doctor and my doctor will tell me if I'm all right. I have patients that come in and say to me, I'm coming here so you can tell me how I'm doing. And I say, well, how do you think you're doing? I mean, sure, I can tell you what's on your lab work, but how do you think you're doing? I can't tell you how you're doing. I can maybe evaluate some data, but you tell me how you're doing. And I mean, that we've been doing this for now, I don't know, 80 years or something, where we just say our doctor knows better than we do. And that is not true. That is not true. You go in and you talk to your doctor, you have 15 minutes. If you come see a functional medicine doctor, you might get an hour, but we don't know better than you. And if you give away your agency, your power to your doctors, to the pros every which way around you, and you don't listen to the whispers, the dis-ease will grow. The disharmony will grow. And I do see it. I do see it happen all the time. I get to work with a lot of people that work at Nike and Intel and really big ad agencies in Portland, and they are overworked. They are overworked and they are so stressed out. And I see it just show up right in their body: pain and sleep disturbance and adrenal burnout, which of course causes hormonal dysregulation and everything else. And then they tell me that they went to Hawaii for 2 weeks, and guess what? My stomach stopped hurting and my back started, felt better. I'm not surprised. You actually listened, you actually rested, and I know it's hard. If you're in a job like that, you can't just say, oh, I'm not going to go to work. But recognizing how it might be affecting your body, recognizing what your body thinks of your day-to-day choices and lifestyle, and again, having integrity with what your body is telling you.
Mhm. I'm so glad we're talking about this. I can feel
Mm-hmm.
I feel all of the community all over the world listening, and my prayer,
Yeah.
I know the work you do is about finding harmony at the integrative deepest level. And something
Mm-hmm.
I know I've learned with injuries, right? I had an injury recently in training I love yoga, and I got back into it and being an instructor, and I was overdoing it and I wasn't listening. I just kept pushing. And you said that. And then and then
Yeah.
I realized, wait a minute, Julie, where is this coming from? And I was like, oh my God, what's underneath? We want to get that curiosity is fear, like fear that I
Right.
won't be able to do it, or that I
Right.
won't be able to teach it, or I don't even know. I looked at him like, wait a
Mm-hmm.
minute, is that even, my body was trying to say, slow down. You do not need to go 6 to 7 days a week and do a hardcore 75 minutes
Mm-hmm.
a day. Like, too much. It's too much. And I think
Right.
whether it's that, it could be anything. You said it, and
Mm-hmm.
it's important. We don't want to override our body
Yeah.
whispering. We don't want it
Yeah.
to yell at us. We want to be best friends with it. We
Yeah.
want to befriend it. And
Yeah.
I would love to talk before we wrap. I want to talk about your amazing the Nourish Me Kitchen. I'm just going to show, this
Mm-hmm.
is like this holds it all together. This is what came in the mail
Yeah.
when I got his book.
I
And I'm
hold
like,
mine too.
oh my gosh, I pulled it out.
Yep.
Unbelievable. So volume
Yep.
one is more, and I know the forward by Dr. Zach Bush, who I would love to bring on.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing. We've got the encyclopedia, like legit, you guys, this is like everything you want to know about your health, your mind, body, spirit, well-being is in this. And then awesome recipes. Actually, I ate a quinoa recipe that
Uh-huh.
some of the ingredients from here. So let's talk about like putting this together. I mean, this is what was the step?
I know.
What does Nourish Me Kitchen mean to you? Like, let's just love to just hear, like, for people that
Mm,
are like, how did she do
thank
this?
you.
It's very inspiring, and it's
Yeah.
and worth it,
Thank you.
worth every penny.
Okay, I'm going to tell you what it means to me. So, the Nourish Me Kitchen book set, these are my babies. These are my twins. I have two human babies that are 15 and 16. Basically, this is a synthesis of everything that I have learned and experienced in the last 20 years, 21 years of practice, 6 years of medical school. I just wanted something like a one-stop resource where people could look up, okay, I have a sinus infection, I have shingles. What do I do? What's the first step? Or Brazil nuts, I've heard they're good for me. Why are they good for me? There's a whole pantry section. It's the things that I was talking about day in and day out with my patients that I just thought, gosh, there just needs to be a resource where it's all here. It's an East meets West guide where it has, all the science plus, plus all the other stuff. And I felt like there was nothing that really that encapsulated everything. There's great books out there, of course. You can get books on essential oils, you can get books on nutrition, you can get books on what to do with acute illnesses. And I just didn't feel like there was a naturopathic physician's voice out there that was teaching the world about functional medicine and how to look at our bodies in this way, and to have the tools to do it. Really, it's so I can say to someone, here, it's all in there. You don't have to be my patient. I'd love for you to be my patient, but I can only see so many people. This allows everyone in the world to be a patient of mine, really. And then the cookbook was just born in our kitchen. It happened simultaneously, depending on what I was on the mood for. My mood to create a recipe and refine it and have our boys help us and edit and all that, or am I in the mood to take a deep dive and talk about meditation and heart, the heart work. And, these books sort of paralleled our lives for the last 15 years, raising our two boys from, going through pregnancy and babies and all the way up into teenhood. And what were the things that would come up? Like, I wrote these books everywhere you could imagine, on little notes all over the place, in my phone, in my iPad, in my computer. I'd have a thought at a basketball game and I'd have to jot it down real quick, or on the dance floor. Oh, people need to know about this. Oh, I just thought about that. And then I wove it all together. And, the cookbook is just, what we love. We love to make good food. We love to use nourishment and food as our first medicine. This kitchen, which I'm in right now, it's like the center of our home. We cook all the time and we make really good food. And I wanted people to feel like they had access to making good food simply and for it to taste great. Like, it doesn't have to be boring just because it's healthy. It doesn't have to be hard because it isn't in a box. That was really my goal, is to have people reframe some of those ideas and even find their favorite comfort foods in there. I've got pancakes, I've got waffles, but sure, the waffles are made with cashews and eggs and coconut milk. It's going to be more nutrient dense than maybe, the Lego Eggo or whatever that you're going to find in your freezer. So it's just an opportunity to, take care of yourself top to bottom. And I find that it's, being so well received. People are loving it. They're finding themselves in the chapters because, it's just like hanging out with me. The whole thing is like you're in our kitchen and you're just along for the ride and we're cheering each other on.
So great. So great. And I want
Yeah.
to share, I'm really excited because I know we have a 10% off for anybody that
Yes.
buys this book, and we'll make sure to have that information on YouTube in the description. In the show notes, we'll have all of that, which this, I got to say, I mean, I just had this image. It's a labor of love is what I'm hearing. And
Yes.
this really, it's like A to Z and then some. I actually saw the waffles. I don't,
Hmm.
I was looking for
Yes.
the recipes. I'm like, this is made for people like myself, which and
Yes.
everyone, there's so many options in there. I know for me with food sensitivities, like you covered that, you have so many different variations. The pictures are
Hmm.
beautiful. It was fun.
Yes.
I know you, Dr. Erika, from a long time ago. So it was fun. It's like, oh, I remember that person. But whether
Uh-huh.
you're just new to wanting to take care of yourself more, or to meditation, or to understanding food, as you said, I think it was, what is it? Was it Michael Pollan that said, pay the doctor or pay the grocer, right? Which,
Yeah, I love that.
right.
Hmm.
So
Exactly.
that food being our medicine,
Hmm.
this is so gorgeous. It is so
Thank you.
worthwhile. It is an investment in, I mean, to me, that you can't put a price tag on this. Like, I'm just going to,
Hmm.
again, show this is volume 1,
Thank
which
you.
is unbelievable. And then the
You're
recipes
showing
is
me different
equally,
things.
yeah. And let's see what we got here with a good picture.
Pretty. It's fun to hang out with. I find myself getting lost in them.
Oh my gosh. There was one recipe I was soups. I love this one. I mean, there's just so much in here.
Yes.
So many
Yeah.
beautiful recipes. And I also love, like, if you want to understand the properties of the foods, or as you said, you're having a migraine, what do you do? This is the kind of thing I feel like I would be
Right.
like, can you help me with this? What is
Right.
this? And it's everything in one. So
Hmm.
really amazing, inspiring. Your heart, you're someone I've known for so long, and
Mm.
you've always had this huge heart to really to make a difference to help people to really heal and to be happy and whole. And it's so fun to
Mm,
see you doing this at such a grand level. And it's just an honor to have you here. I love this
thank you.
reminder to have integrity and trust and love for ourselves fully in our body, in our mind,
Mm,
all of us.
yeah. Thank you, Julie. Thanks so much for having me here. It's so fun to talk to you about all this and just feel your heart and know how much you care about your community. I really appreciate it.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you. And my last question, I always end with one of the two
Hmm.
questions. I'm going to go with my heart flare. It's what I call them.
Okay.
Okay. So the heart flare is this. So basically, is there something your heart would like to share? Maybe I didn't ask you a question, or there's just
Hmm.
a intuitive nudge, a thought, a feeling, something that's coming through you that you really feel, you'd love to share with our community before we wrap.
Sure. I think my thought when you ask that is I want people to know that they are worth taking
Mm,
care of themselves, that this is the one vessel we get. And it's hard, but it's also accessible and you're worth it.
mm. Mic drop. Nothing else to add. That is
Yeah.
that is everything. Yeah, no one
Yeah.
we're worthy. That's
We're
beautiful.
worthy. Yep.
Yeah.
No matter what. Now. It doesn't have to wait until XYZ.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great reminder.
Oh, I have one more thing. I have one more thing. I'm
Yeah.
going to put it right here in front of the camera.
Awesome. What else? Oh, you don't have to be perfect to be awesome. Oh my
Yeah.
God. I love that.
That's my last little heart flare.
I love it. She's like, I got
Yeah.
another and awesome. No, we love heart. We always
Yeah.
acknowledge heart flares. I really feel like it's our heart,
Yes.
the megaphone. It's like, it's like listening to our intuition. Love that. Yeah, you don't have to be perfect. In fact, you're awesome now because you're,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're worthy now. Oh my gosh.
Yay.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All the
Thank you.
and on Amazon, the links, your website, we
Hmm.
have all of that. And I'll just take a moment to direct this to you, my soul sister and
Hmm.
brother. Thank you for being with us today. Thank you for really making this commitment to yourself to be your You-est You, to step into your power, to build that integrity and entrust with your body, your mind, your soul. As Dr. Erika said, you are so worthy. You're worth it. You're worth investing in your time, in yourself, in your self-care, in your health, and your well-being. And I know that it's a better world when when we're all taking loving care of ourselves, that peace begins with ourselves, that health, that joy starts with ourselves. So thank you for being on this journey with us. Thank you for being your You-est You. We will have all of your information for Dr. Erika Siegel and your amazing, amazing, amazing book set. And just want to thank you for sharing your You-est You here today. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. Thanks to everyone.
All right, until next time, my dear friends, mwah, lots of love. Namaste. The light in I honors the light in you. We will see you soon. My friend, I'm so grateful and honored to be here with you on your journey and being your You-est You. Thank you for watching this episode, for being part of this incredible community and this mission to really step into your light, to your highest purpose. I believe that as we all do that, we all can really be our best selves and uplift consciousness and in humanity. So thank you. I also wanted to say that if you are looking for greater support right now, maybe you're having a health concern or you're looking to really step into that next version, best version of yourself, please come connect with me, whether it's for more resources or coaching or guidance. I would love to support you in any way that I can. Just go to juliereisler.com. You can book a powerful one-on-one breakthrough session there. You can connect with me. I would love to meet you. I'd love to hear how I can be on this journey with you. And before I forget, if you'd like a little more of this good vibe tribe and would like to digest these episodes with a high vibe community, just go to Facebook and look up the You-est You podcast community. You'll find us there. Love always. And thank you so much for taking the time and energy to truly stepping into your authenticity and being your You-est You.